Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today you join me and many other tourists in Tybee Island, Georgia, with this 2025 Mini Cooper John Cooper Works two-door. This is now the fourth generation of Mini Cooper. This John Cooper Works is brand new for the 2025 model year, and today we're going to give you some first driving impressions. And since this is Topher Drives, we're going to commute this from the beach city of Tybee Island into downtown Savannah, Georgia. Should be pretty fun. Spoiler alert, the roads aren't too entertaining, but we'll at least be able to see what it's like to live with this new John Cooper Works Mini. So let's go over some basics. What do you need to know? Well, this is now the F66 generation of the Mini. As I said, the fourth gen, the two-door, is the F66. This is powered by the B48 BMW turbocharged four-cylinder engine in the John Cooper Works, making 228 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. It's front-wheel drive, and it does not have the ZF 8-speed automatic. This has a 7-speed DCT, so we'll have to see how that behaves on our commute today. I have driven these a little bit. I drove a convertible yesterday, which you'll see on the Winding Road magazine channel, and then I've spent a little bit of time this morning in this hardtop variant. I picked the spec out myself. Sunny side yellow. We had to go for a little bit of an obnoxious spec. I stand out among everyone. Actually, that guy's shirt over there is a pretty similar color. But anyway, let's quickly walk you around this, and then we'll jump in it and we'll get it on the road. Obviously, we'll have one of these back at HQ eventually too, but it's always fun to kind of get some first driving impressions and see if I like a car right off the bat. I mean, obviously, styling-wise, this is very unapologetically Mini Cooper still. They've just made its mouth a little bit bigger and its eyes a little bit bigger. It kind of just looks surprised, like an old bug-eye Subaru WRX. But we have these stripes on the JCW. Obviously, we have unique bumpers, we have unique wheels, we have different brakes on this car, we have adaptive dampers. This is sitting on a 215/40 R18 squared setup of a Continental Sport Contact 7. So this is a performance summer tire on this Mini today. I think the really big kind of bombshell with this design is what they've done on the back. We have Union Jack taillights, which you can't see when the car is stationary, but they light up kind of with the Union Jack pattern. They had to keep a little bit of British flair in this car, even though it has been German for about 25 years at this point. But it is still built in Oxford in the UK. The engine and transmission are still German, but you know, you get my point. I think this little center exhaust tip is kind of cool, because Mini kind of always had like the pop cans, little dual tips in the middle for the S and the JCW models. But they've gotten rid of one, and they've just gone to this one big tip in the middle, which is kind of, I think, paying homage to the OG Mini from the 1960s. So anyway, let's poke around this thing. Open up the hatch where you can see my backpack. Fits perfectly back here. Take that out for a second so we can see what's under the floor. You've got a little bit more storage, and I think that's about it. No spare in this car. I don't think they would even have room to fit one. Yep, that is simply trunk floor under the carpet there. But I do like that we have a couple different layers of storage here, considering this is still a very small car. You know, this is a hot hatch, and it's emerging into a market where we don't really have a lot of hot hatches anymore, and everything is getting big. But this is still quite a small car, obviously quite a bit bigger than an original Mini, but still a Mini nonetheless. There's really not a lot of these cars left, so it's cool that Mini is still going strong. This is like the biggest investment they've made since the 1950s, apparently, and just introducing all these new models. I don't think I pulled this twice, and you have to pull it twice. There we go. That's unlocked. All right, let's pop the hood and show you this B48, which fits pretty snugly in here. I suppose the airbox is quite large as well, but again, just to reiterate, 2-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine, 228 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. It's front-wheel drive, and it doesn't have a limited slip diff, which is kind of puzzling. I think it used to be an option, or it may have even come standard on these JCW cars. Someone in the comments can fill me in on that. But I think overall, from a looks perspective, they've nailed it here. They haven't gone too crazy, and sometimes it's okay to play it safe. I think just kind of getting the general shape of a Mini down and then adding some of these little tweaks to make it new is all right. I like the spoiler that dips here in the middle. And if we're lucky, maybe someday we'll get a GP version of this car, because we have had a first, second, and third gen JCW GP. So we'll see. Inside, this is special interior for the John Cooper Works. We have a split cloth and vegan leather. This has got memory seats. This one's got a couple of options on it. We'll put the spec down in the description for you guys, but this JCW starts around 40 grand. This one as spec'd $44,000. So getting onto a $50,000 Mini, maybe a little bit hard to swallow, but we'll kind of evaluate that today on our test drive. To entertain you all, I am going to jump into the back seat just to show you what room is like back here. I don't know that you'd really want to be commuting with anyone but yourself, maybe your partner here in the passenger seat. The back's a little bit tight. You're not fitting adults back here. You do have to, I mean, I fit actually. I do actually have headroom. Mostly my camera touches the headliner, but most normal people don't wear cameras on their faces. Even get my own moonroof back here. I can close the shade manually, which we like to see. There's even an armrest, which is just hard plastic, and there's speakers here. We have a Harman Kardon sound system in this, which you know we'll be testing, of course. But I mean, honestly, the back seat is pretty decent. I think kids would fit back here fine, but you're definitely not fitting adults comfortably. Just contort my body to get out of this very small space. Ooh, okay. Lots of neighborhood dogs going off today, which is quite appropriate for the digital assistant in this car, who's called Spike. We'll show you that in a second. This is honestly kind of my first experience with a 4th gen Mini. I've driven them briefly. I think I had only driven the Countryman, so this is the first Cooper that I've spent any time with. So let's go ahead and fire this up, and we'll get it out onto the very quiet roads of Tybee Island. We'll hit the highway, and then we'll go into the city of Savannah, and we'll see what our experience is like. To start it, we have a twist, which is kind of cool because it kind of simulates putting a key into the dash and starting the car. Now, I want to forewarn you guys, there's a lot of piped-in engine noise and burbles and things with this car, which is probably my least favorite thing. It almost feels like they tried a little bit too hard in the simulation department, and I get it because it's really tough to make a car make normal noise in Europe with all of the sound regulations, and probably too much of an investment for them to change things like that up for the US market to give this car a completely different exhaust. I hope eventually, or maybe even now, there's companies that are investing in aftermarket exhausts for this car, because I feel like a big trademark of hot Minis, and especially the John Cooper Works cars, are the exhaust tone and the pops and burbles, and unfortunately this car doesn't really do any of that. In the middle, we have this 9.4-inch circular screen that is made by Samsung. Mini says they contacted Samsung to make this screen because they're experienced making round displays on their smartwatches, which I suppose makes sense. This one obviously just being quite a bit bigger. This UI seems to work pretty well as far as speed goes. There's Spike right there. You can say things like, "Hey Mini, turn on my heated seat." The driver's seat, please. He's British.
I can't open the app at the moment. Here is the menu with all the apps available.
Oh, he can't do it. Okay, well, he tried his best, and you know what? I feel like at first we get mad, but how can you get mad at a little digital dog? You can just say, okay, well, you can try again next time. And this kind of sums up this infotainment for me. There's just a lot going on. I mean, there's so many different menus and ways to view things. You go into this and you scroll forever. There's all sorts of different stuff. You can have it, which for copyright reasons, we can't play the song here. Okay, now you know what song it is. But there's like these little celebration modes and stuff. There's just so much to look at with this infotainment. We could spend probably 30 minutes alone just going through this, which we won't do today. But lots of fun stuff, and I like that it shows the yellow car in the infotainment, since this is a yellow car. Otherwise, pretty simple in here. We have more of this cloth material exclusive to the JCW with this kind of red checkered design. As we know, we've got this little cubby down here, which I'm using for my spare camera right now, which fits perfectly. This is just simply an armrest. It's not a console. It doesn't open. It's just there to make your elbow comfy. And kind of like how we saw in the BMW X1 and X2, we have this little wireless charger right here that holds your phone in with a strap. 2 cup holders, which is holding the key, which I think looks like a Biscoff cookie. We're going to put that in my pocket so it doesn't rattle around. This does have a head-up display, but it kind of intrudes on my vision because it's a big glass thing that pops up. So I have turned that off for us, but we'll show you what it looks like just in case you're curious. It's kind of more like an old school head-up display. You can see it pops out of the dashboard here. But it takes up kind of a little bit of the bottom of the windscreen, and I don't really love it. So we're gonna go classic Mini, and we're just gonna use the center display. If you know, you know. If you have like an old R53 or something, you know that this is how Minis have always been. Let's put these windows up. Both auto up, of course. And let's go for a drive. Mini was very excited to tell us today how thick they've made this steering wheel. It's very small and very thick, which I guess kind of applies to the rest of the car as well. This being a JCW, we have paddle shifters, thank goodness, because the Mini Cooper S doesn't have paddles, and that's the other thing. There is no longer a manual transmission option for this 4th gen Mini, which I think is a bit of a miss. I think the clientele for Mini still wants to shift their own gears, so it's definitely a bit of a bummer to see that go away. But all right, we'll talk more philosophical things while we're on the road, but let's put this into reverse. The shifter is just right here next to the engine start-stop switch. Reverse and 360 camera here on this JCW. Steering is very light at low speeds, super easy to maneuver, very light, very quick. Push this down once to go into drive, push it again to go into sport, and you can use the paddle shifters. We'll do that once we're out of the city. I actually have a slight personal connection to Tybee Island. My uncle had a house here growing up, and I think he sold it when I was like 6 or 7 years old, so it has been 20 years since I've been to Tybee Island. Lots of traffic, most of them just kind of boomers that act like they're going to crash into you with GMT 800s. Lots of golf carts. It's very Florida, but I suppose we are near Florida right now, so it's quite on brand. Obviously, with this being a BMW Group product, inputs are all quite nice. Throttle response, brake pedal, all feels very natural, and which is quite good because this is a DCT. It's probably the same unit that you get in the BMW X1. This car has a unique tune on it, of course, with it being a JCW, but it's quite pleasant at low speeds. I mean, it knows what to do. Okay, that was quite bumpy. Ride quality is pretty decent. Ooh, BMW Z3. It's a very good Tybee Island car. Ooh, and an E46. That person knows what's up. Ride quality, it's stiff, but it's not rattle your teeth out stiff. It's actually very well composed for a daily driver. You see, now normally this would be a problem, but I am very small, so I can just go right there. Coming to a complete stop. Good test for maneuverability here. Let these people walk their dog there across the street. I don't see how you could get away with having anything bigger than like a Mini Cooper, really like a golf cart in like a little beach town like that. Oh, that reminds me. So instead of sport mode, this has go-kart mode. Hey, woohoo! It's pretty gimmicky, but come on, that's kind of neat. So we're in sport right now and go back to our nav so I know where to go. Okay, turn right. Let's drop the windows. We'll let you hear what this thing sounds like once we get it out onto the road here. Go manual mode as well. You can hear those simulated burbles coming through the speakers. It is really quick. I mean, like 280 pound-feet of torque in a car that weighs around 3,000 pounds is like, it's a proper experience. 7-speed DCT does shift quite quickly when you are in go-kart mode, transmission and manual. I haven't driven the S yet. I'm going to do that next, so I'm curious to see what that is like, but this one is pretty well composed. I mean, all of the inputs in this, they feel pretty natural. This car is very darty. Mini is very much set on their go-kart verbiage. You know, they're like, they want this car to handle like a go-kart. They always have. I had one of my best friends in high school had a 2005 Mini Cooper base with a CVT, and in most ways it was miserable, but it was so fun to take around corners and just kind of dart around town, and I loved driving that car. And this one, it does feel a little bit bigger, but I can tell that Mini soul is still here. Let's do just a little bit of an acceleration while we don't have any traffic behind us. The sounds are being made by the computer, but the feelings are real. It's very quick. I know I've already said that, but there's torque everywhere. You get really good, legitimate turbo noise. Problem is, in Georgia, all of the roads are arrow straight, so we can't do much maneuverability testing. But this car feels eager to change direction. It's so quick. All right, well, it looks like we are kind of settling ourselves into the highway here, so we can take ourselves out of go-kart mode. You have this switch, which is a toggle, which is kind of a throwback to the R53 as well, for experience, not drive modes, experiences. You've got go-kart, core, green, personal, vivid, timeless, and balance. So we can kind of go through some of these right now. They all have a unique noise when they pop up. Balance is kind of like the minimalist mode. Timeless gives you the big cluster like you would have found on a classic Mini, as you can see here. Although it kind of looks more like Thomas Edison's like pocket watch. Vivid, I don't know what this mode does. It makes things pink. What else do we have here? Personal. You guys should be able to see somewhat of like a BMW influence here to some of these drive modes. Green, this is eco mode, of course. Shows a little hummingbird. Efficient. That's cool, I like that. And then core. This is just normal mode. This is kind of what I've been living in today as I've been driving this car. Today we've been averaging 30.4 mpg, which is the actual EPA average rating on this JCW. The highway rating on this car, 37 miles to the gallon. How about that in a hot hatch? Love to see it. Love to see some efficiency here as well, because this is not only going to be used to do handbrake turns. Well, you can't do handbrake turns in this. What am I saying? To do spirited driving in, you know, small settings, because you can just put this car anywhere, but obviously for the commute as well, you're going to want this to be efficient. So that is quite good. The only thing I don't like with switching drive modes is that it takes you out of CarPlay. And I get that they want you to like see the different theme, but you can feel the drop in throttle response going into efficient mode. So once you're in a different drive mode, you then have to tap back into your navigation or back into, you know, whatever menu of CarPlay you want to be in, which is mildly irritating because it's just that one extra second that you have to have your eyes off the road. And BMWs are the same way. So it's, I don't know why they haven't kind of dialed that out yet. Climate control obviously is in the infotainment here. You have to click on one corner of the screen to adjust the climate control, and then it goes away eventually. Heated seats, heated steering wheel. I think this has ventilated seats too. Hey Mini, turn on my ventilated seat.
This vehicle cannot cool your seat.
Oh, this vehicle cannot cool your seat. Thank you, Spike. Now, if you don't like Spike, you can opt for a talking car instead, but I think Spike is the way to go. Definitely not the quietest vehicle in the world, and I'm having to remind myself this is a Mini, so it's quite small. There's not a lot. It's very light, and with these Sport Contact 7 Performance summer tires, you're going to have some road noise. There's a bit of wind noise as well. I mean, with the design of this car, having the windshield be pretty much straight up and down, you're going to have that as well. but I think it's quiet enough for what it is. And Harman Kardon sound system, which why don't we go ahead and test? We're not doing anything else right now. We do have a volume knob. Thank you, Mini, for that. And then we also have volume controls here on the steering wheel. This does have surround sound. I have that toggled on right now. All the other settings are set to their zeroed out positions. I don't know why that just killed our music with me going into it. Okay, there it's back. You guys see what I mean, though? It's just like, I get it. I get like the entertainment factor of like all of the stuff going on, but it gets to a point where there's too much. And you think with this minimalist design in here, maybe they'd want to have a minimalist UI as well, but absolutely not. Okay, sound system, pretty dang good. I mean, these Harman Kardon systems have been getting better. It's definitely not the best sound system that I've ever heard, but for this segment, which I suppose this kind of hits above some of the other hot hatches because it is more expensive than something like a Golf GTI or an Elantra N. Ergonomically, quite cozy. I've got pretty decent squish to my elbows. I wonder if this has launch control. How do I get this? Here we go, into go-kart mode. Put this in S. I don't know if I have to have any sort of traction control thing toggled, and even if I did, I would not even begin to know how to use that. So, does this have... It absolutely does not have launch control in whatever mode I'm in right now, but we'll just kind of roll into it, see how it gets off the line. Definitely some boost by gear going on there. Once it hit second gear, it started pulling a lot harder. All right, well, we turned off the fake noise, so let's see. See how this car actually sounds. Yeah, see? All of that stuff you heard earlier, none of it's real. Yeah, not a whole lot going on. We also have boost mode, as we see in some of the new BMWs. Kind of like Porsche's Sport Response. You just hold this down paddle and it gives you like 10 seconds of maximum performance. So we'll show you what that looks like. Basically just drops you to the lowest gear possible and sharpens up the throttle response as much as it can. And this is kind of no matter what mode you're in, even if you're not in go-kart mode. Go back into core, back into drive. Go back to my Apple CarPlay. I cannot wait for the Topher to drive one of these. I think he's going to be irritated trying to figure out how to work this. Seat comfort seems to be decent, and it's hard to speak to seat comfort after you've spent an entire previous day on an airplane, not sitting in first class. So my back already is a little bit unhappy. luckily this has lumbar and massaging seats. Why don't we try the massaging seat out? Okay, so it kind of just rolls the lumbar up and down your back. I don't know how to make it stop massaging now. Is the problem. Okay, yeah, that's stopped now. Okay. So, I mean, the seats, they're a little hard. If I were personally feeling a little bit better, I'd be able to judge them better, but even, you know, right now, they're definitely not the most comfortable seat. But driver's compartment it does feel pretty open. I mean, I don't feel like I'm in a shoebox right now. Like, I actually feel like I have room to move in this car with this kind of open console layout, with this no longer having a manual transmission or a floor-mounted shifter. You feel like you have a lot of space in here, which is nice. There are places to put things. 2 pretty deep cup holders there. As I mentioned, that wireless charger, and then you got this little cubby right here, and a little bit of room surrounding that too. It's like we can do an entrance ramp. Yeah, that feels great. What do you guys think? Do you prefer it with or without the piped-in engine noise? And after 3 seconds, we're off the highway already. We do have some driver assist in this Mini. We don't have Assist Plus or anything crazy like that, but this driving assist is part of one of the option groups on this car. So, you know, just adaptive cruise, all that stuff. Unfortunately, you cannot change your adaptive cruise settings on the steering wheel. That lives, I think, in the infotainment somewhere. I mean, well, I would imagine it's in the infotainment if it's not on the steering wheel, because where else would it be? Ooh, bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. But honestly, well composed. We're doing okay in this car. We should try and sum this up here in these last 3 minutes and 1.2 miles of our commute. I think Mini has built something fun. I think they've pretty much done just about everything they can with the current climate of the European... Okay, I thought I was in manual mode there. The problem is I'm still in go-kart mode and I need to not be. Into core. Back to core we go. Someone should add up all the time that I've spent in this video just changing settings. As far as driving this car goes, it's great. I mean, it's so maneuverable. It's very easily placeable. Steering feel, while it is light, it is pretty precise. Ride quality, as I said earlier, it's stiff, but it's not crashy. It's not rattling my teeth out. And I want a Mini to be stiff. I don't want this car to have a soft, floaty ride. This still drives like a Mini. That's got to be a rare car. 93X wagon. Anyway. Compliments to the way this car drives. However, I think some of this UI in here is going to be a little bit tricky for some people. I'm still in sport drive mode. But let me speak still. But if you're somebody that owns this car, you get your settings dialed in, that's where things make more sense, right? I think it's tough for us YouTubers and journalists that are just driving these cars for the first time. It's hard to like get used to some of these settings. If you actually own this car, I think you'd be okay. The only things that bother me slightly are changing the adaptive cruise distance, because I do sometimes like to change my distance based on what kind of road I'm using cruise control on. So it's annoying to have to go, oh my goodness, into the infotainment for that. Otherwise, I guess, you know, things work fine. Changing modes and stuff, it's annoying. I think CarPlay's been integrated well here. Of course, this is wireless CarPlay. And they've kind of just put this square in the middle of the screen. Fits just fine. Overall, good experience today. It hasn't frustrated me too much. I was a little bit overwhelmed at first. All right, let's get this back to Hotel Bardo. I'm really happy I'm in something this small, honestly, going around the city. It's refreshing to drive something small. So overall, I like this car. I think it could sound better, and I think the UI could be a little bit more user-friendly, but otherwise, it's a fun little package. It still feels like a Mini, And I do appreciate that they have actually succeeded in having fun with this new F66. So good job, Mini, and I'm gonna go ahead and hand the keys off here. We'll give you one last look at this Sunnyside Yellow JCW, and that'll be it for us today. We're gonna leave it running, but I'm gonna leave the Biscoff cookie here in the cup holder for the staff. And actually, I'm gonna have to come back in here to get my stuff out anyway. So we'll show you the outside one last time, and that'll be it for us today. All right, cool guys. Well, if you have any questions about this new JCW, please don't hesitate to ask me in the comments. But otherwise, that will wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.